I'm getting back to work on my writing, and I've decided to do my audiobook for my first novel, Silver Skies. Silver Skies, I wrote in the 1990s during the Clinton administration, and the book is about a freedom fighter and his love life. And he was a conservative rabbi, and he falls in love with a non-Jew. And this creates a lot of problems. He's a married man and he falls in love with somebody who's not his wife. And um, I actually am going to let you listen to chapter one of the novel to let you know why he ended up falling in love with someone other than his wife. When you hear the first chapter, it'll explain everything. um, so I'm working on a book called The Antichrist in Rule 13, which is the story of the love between Zack Knight and Rule 13 and how Satan tried to destroy that, and Angelina Ballerina. So I'm working as a writer and an actress at the same time. Because do an audiobook, I'm working as a voice actor. Oh boy. And then when I work on a book, I'm working as a writer, so I do both. So I'm doing both at the same time. I just feel like it's so important for me to get this book out and the audiobook out. Silver Skies was my first novel, and it's basically a critique of the Clinton administration. And now that Hillary Clinton has come back into politics, this book is relevant again. Basically, this book describes what the United States would be like if Hillary Clinton won the presidency. So it's really relevant. So, when you go to Amazon, just ignore all the 1-star ratings there. Those are all Jesuit reviewers. They were hired by Zack Knight at the time when he was against me to write those ratings, and they're very unfair. Actually, they have made this book into a movie, a Steven Spielberg movie starring Matthew McConaughey as the lead. Because the lead character I patterned somewhat after Brent Spiner. He's a Texas rabbi, and Steven Spielberg cast Matthew McConaughey in that role, and it's been shown at independent film festivals. And Matthew's very proud of the work he did in this. The real Matthew, who unfortunately right now is Angelina Ballerina's sex slave. So I've decided I'm going to go ahead and it's going to take me a couple months to finish the audiobook, and it might take me a year to finish the book that I'm writing about Zack Knight. And from what I can tell, Angelina Ballerina is still out there causing problems. The sky still looks pink, so I'm just going to let my men deal with her. And I've been dealing with all the problems she's been causing me. She's been keeping me and my men very busy. She's causing all sorts of problems. She's a very wicked woman. So anyways, if you can buy the book, Silver Skies is available, and I'll have a link for that underneath this, but I do plan on getting the audio book out for Silver Skies within a couple months. I wasn't going to do it, and I said, well, let's read the book and see if it's as bad as the Jesuits say it is, if it's worth putting this into audio. And I said, hey, girl, this isn't bad at all. And this story is relevant now that we're dealing with Hillary Clinton. Basically, the book is about what the United States would be like if Hillary Clinton became president. And it describes a freedom fighter who suffers at their hands and ends up having his family members suffer. I really believe that this book accurately depicts the world that we would have in the United States if Hillary Clinton became president. So the book's important now. It wasn't relevant when Barack Obama was president, but Hillary Clinton is worse than Barack Obama. So anyways, I'm going to let you hear the chapter one after this, okay? I forgot to mention, pink is just a color that looks good on me, and I'm wearing it because I just happen to like to wear pink, especially hot pink or icy pink, which are my winter colors. So just because I'm wearing pink does not mean I support Angelina Ballerina. I don't want Angelina Ballerina to ruin pink for me. I happen to look good in pink. But so just because I'm wearing pink doesn't mean I support that evil bitch, okay? This just happens to be a color that looks good on me, and I don't want her to ruin pink for me. Chapter 1. At the edge of a cliff, the woman of Dor's dreams gazed at the sky. Her soft hair radiated from sunlight that streamed through Douglas firs. Leaves whispered, rustled. 6 years, and thoughts of her still obsessed him. Rabbi Dor Ben Habakkuk wanted to forget about arms and weapons. Some place that reminded him of Brianna would lift his spirits. Seattle's Pike's Place came to mind. With fresh fish laid out in neat stacks, this fisherman's wharf had color, organ-grinding monkeys, home-grown musicians, and Indian artifacts. If only Brianna strolled here beside him. He bought presents for his girl and wife. He pulled Eva's portrait from his wallet and observed Brianna's photo underneath it. A necklace of lace and apple blossoms reminded him of Brianna and Eva's sweetness. He bought it for Eva. For his wife Rachel, he bought silk roses. Later, seated inside his jet bound for Houston, he kept the lace and flower necklace on his lap. His plane touched down at Houston's Hobby Airport. He had to try to convince Rachel of the virtues of his militia. His wife wasn't at the airport. He hadn't told her exactly when he'd arrive, just said sometime today. He'd take a taxi home. The iron-grilled gates around his Meyerland home loomed before him, along with the potted plants that ornamented his front lawn in a cascading terrace. It looked like a nature preserve. The taxi dropped him off. Thoughts of Eva comforted him, and he looked forward to seeing Eva. His key wouldn't work on the entrance gate lock to his home. How funny that it worked before. Rachel must have hired a locksmith. She sat on the porch's garden chair with her arms lounging about. The sky above was overcast. He had no umbrella. "Rachel, I'm home." Rachel plodded towards him. She showed him roses. "Don't you wonder where I got these?" "They're beautiful." He retrieved the silk roses and presented them to her. "Look what I bought for you." She seemed surprised, took the roses and inhaled. "Did you strike it rich?" She mixed the silk roses with the real ones. "I bought them in Pike's Place in Seattle. Would you like to come with me sometime?" "Only if you won't make militia stops when we're there." "How about a nice dinner date here in Houston, then?" "As long as you don't visit militias." "Why do you want me to stop the militias?" She placed her hands on her hips and stood straight at 5'5". "Militias, militias! You don't care about me or Eva." "If I didn't love my family, I wouldn't be involved with militias. I love you enough to try and save you from a Holocaust." "Concentration camps? In America? Do you see Nazis in uniform?" "The conditions won't be exactly like Germany, but they'll be similar. The uniforms may not look like the Nazis, but the people wearing them will operate from the same principles." "We're always controlled by somebody. I don't know anyone who's completely free from control." "Rachel, you don't understand. We have concentration camps." "You're so melodramatic. Show me a concentration camp, then I'll believe you." "All right. I'll drive you out to the place where they killed my father." She laughed until the clouds could hear her. "Your father died in a detention center, not a concentration camp. How stupid do you think I am?" "You think my father deserved to die, don't you?" "I don't know. It just happened." "He'd be alive today if they didn't send him to that wretched place." "That's what happens when you get too involved with militias." "No one in our family was involved in militias when they got my dad. I think if he was involved with them, they would have thought twice before arresting him. They probably would have arrested him sooner. Militias are a scourge on this planet. They should all be dead." All hope that Rachel could ever understand him died. "All right. I see you think all militia members are devils. Please let me in my home." "What about the children who'll find those guns and kill innocent people? What if Eva gets one of your guns?" "I've instructed all those who work under me to lock the guns in a safe. We only use the guns for self-defense. Don't bring any guns into this house. If you do, Eva and I will leave. Houston rain drenched onto door. Water streamed down his face. Thunder vibrated and lightning streaked across the ominous billows. Rain patted on the cement sidewalk underneath him and pooled around his feet. Will you let me in? Rachel had an umbrella. You should like rain. It's a lot better than a concentration camp. Door's hair lay flat against his skull, drenched. Never did he feel so misunderstood. He stood against the gate and let the water drain down his body. Why did he feel locked in by the gates of his home like a concentration camp inmate? Divorce? Out of the question for a rabbi and militia president. Duty demanded he stay in this marriage, and he couldn't stand the sight of her white teeth, glamorous dresses, and glittering jewels. He promised his mother to fight the concentration camps. She couldn't walk without pain, had bad arthritis, and depended on him. Rachel went inside their home and came out with a gun pointed to her head. Didn't he lock that gun in a safe? She looked at him with eyes deranged and determined. Better for me to die than my daughter. If I kill myself, then I know you won't let another gun in this house. No, Rachel, don't be crazy. This didn't sound like her, but the image of a wife shot dead by her own gun leered at him. His militias would be doomed, and Eva would lose her mother. All right, I'll quit as president of the militia. Drop the gun. She pulled the trigger and laughed. He heard no gunshot. The rain tapered. Are you starting to realize the dangers of keeping a gun in the house? How can you live with yourself? She let Dor in the gate and motioned to Eva to come into their front yard. Eva tripped out, her arms extended. Daddy, Daddy, you have any presents for me? The necklace of lace and blossoms flung out from its clasp around his wallet along with his photo of Brianna that flitted to the ground. His heart twinged. He handed the necklace to Eva and longed for Brianna. Eva smothered his face with kisses as he reached down to pick up the photo from the wet grass. Rachel got it before he did, stood and examined it. She crossed her arms. What are you doing with the photo of another woman in your wallet? Someone gave it to me a long time ago. She held the photo high in front of him and ripped it to shreds. His heart felt like a knife slashed it. No longer could he view Brianna's angel face. Rachel had ripped the only photo he had of her. I have no other photos of her, and I have lots of yours. You don't need her picture. I don't appreciate what you did. Marry her, then. With Eva's hands in hers, she walked away from him. We're only friends. In that case, you shouldn't miss the picture for long. Are you so selfish that you won't allow other people to have a part of me? I get the leftovers, and I'm starving. He sat on the porch and watched her. The rain trickled and dripped. Then she closed the door in his face. He turned his thoughts to Brianna, who believed in him. If he fought for what both he and Brianna believed in, for freedom and liberty, he could win, even if Rachel conned him out of leadership in the militias. A pang went through his heart. Brianna would know if he quit the militia. But he hadn't quit. He just wouldn't be president. He went inside his home and called his synagogue. I'll be there tomorrow to resume full-time duties.